What's up, everybody? Welcome to TPI, the Total Podcast Idiots Show, where we cover everything and anything related to Hardwood, the best game ever created. I am back from my little 2-week hiatus. I like to call it my unofficial off season, since there's no off season really. But glad to be back. I'm feeling pretty good today. How you feeling, Andrew?
Yeah, I'm feeling all right. Like you said, there's no real off season. Everyone can see Rob is alive. Everyone was questioning, oh, I hope he's okay.
I am here. Yes, I am here magically.
Yeah. We had the flip. That's always an exciting time, right?
Yeah, the flip is exciting. We've already had 3 days now worth of recruit commitments.
Mm-hmm.
So that's always exciting to see if you can ever land anyone on day one, which we never do, but whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're already jumping into non-con play and having some interesting matchups and stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, we had the exhibitions, and now 4 games so far of non-con.
4 games
And
non-con.
and like you said, with like recruiting, right? Day 1 or day 5, but like day 1 of commitments was actually like a bigger day than day 2, which is yesterday or today. I don't even remember anymore.
Yeah,
Today's day 3.
Today's day 3, yeah. Day 3 was only like what,
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 total commitments.
Yeah, and like no 4 or 5 stars, but which like day 1 and day 2 had 4s and 5 stars.
Yeah, I was really surprised day 1 had a 5-star and 2 4-stars. That's really aggressive for the first day of recruiting. So obviously North Carolina landed that 5-star and they sit at the top of the recruiting rankings already. Makes sense. But North Georgia got like a 4-star, and some other teams like Lynchburg got a 4-star and stuff. So some early success for a few teams here.
Yeah, definitely. I'm sure the guys who signed today are like somewhat pretty good. I don't know. You always get like a mixed bag though.
So you always hope, at least I do, that like the guys that sign early are your main targets, because then you can move on to that would be ideal, and it never happens
how
for me
likely
at
is that,
least.
right?
Yeah, exactly. But like, let's say you get your main target on day like 4 or something. It just leaves you so much potential for moving on other guys. If you have competition on guy 2 and guy 3 or something, then obviously now you're splitting points between those two instead of trying to figure out that rotation. Or you jump on juniors and sophomores, try to get ahead on there. It's like, I really wonder what having a recruit commitment like in the first 5-6 days, the advantage has to be so like drastic compared to not having any, like until like period 30 of the season or something.
Yeah, I think last season New Rochelle had one on day 2, which honestly I wasn't expecting that to happen. Maybe it's 2 seasons ago. See, I don't even remember. Yeah, I think it's 2 seasons ago. And I was only on 2 guys. I only wanted 2 guys. So that was one of them. And then that allowed me to build on that next class, which was last year's class then. And that allowed me to get a 4-star eventually. He was a 3-star when I got started on him. And then he rose to a 4-star during the season.
So sexy.
Yeah.
That's like, well, I guess it depends on, I think I remember you talking about that, and it was like bittersweet, right? It was sweet in the fact that, hey, this guy's a 4-star now and I'm going to land him. But then at the same time, you had him slated to redshirt and like start down the line. And then, oh shit, now I have a 4-star. Can I really redshirt him? Like, do I take that penalty?
Yeah. And, like that should have been one of our questions today. We'll get to that. Like, I think I am in the process of redshirting him right now. But I don't know, things can just always change. I feel like, like you just realize something, whether it's like game mechanics wise or your team needs him more so. Yeah, who knows?
Yeah, I agree.
But right, sorry, we're not a recruiting show necessarily, right?
We could be.
We are.
You certainly could. You would talk for 4 freaking hours about recruits if you wanted to.
Oh man, that's a lot of talking.
Like the TPI tip show that we did, you literally were like gung-ho the entire time. You didn't want to stop.
That's true. That was a fun night.
I wonder if that was like our second longest episode compared to when we literally reviewed every freaking conference at the end of last season.
The longest is definitely the looking over every conference. I think the second longest though was like our first episode.
Oh, maybe. Yeah. Wow. You know what's really wild is thinking that our first episode was what, at the beginning of last season, right?
Yeah. So speaking of, we're in season 2. This is season
Season
2.
two.
We're
Season two of
back.
our podcast. Season 2 of our podcast.
Yeah.
That's wild, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, we needed a bit of a break. That's why we didn't do the midweek episode, but we
Yeah.
are back. Don't worry. Yeah.
We are here to drop content for you guys. We're going to do our best. But it's actually wild to think that we're now in season 2. It's also wild to think that we came up with creative ideas like having the tournament bracket challenge in our first season of podcasting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like kudos to us. I'm not like, here to pat myself on the back, but like speaking of the whole TikTok challenge thing, like
Oh yeah, everyone, I want y'all to try to touch your shoulder, the same side shoulder with your palm of your hand. I can't do it.
I don't understand. Like do it like this, straight
It's so
back.
hard. I still can't really do it. They're like, look, like it's off. My palm is actually off of my shoulder.
Look.
Okay, but you're like on your trap, dude. Like that's not the same. Like
Well,
that's not your
okay,
shoulder.
you didn't specify.
I don't know. I mean, I didn't watch the TikTok thing. I don't have TikTok.
Well, okay. This is poor quality podcasting here.
Okay. Anyways, last season we started it off with just like going through the top teams, and like we'll kind of do that today, but we have a little bit of a different format. We want to spice it up a little bit, and we think we came up with a fun format today, right?
Yeah, I think so. It's if we do the same podcast, the same shows over and over again, just reviewing teams, it gets really boring for us.
Yeah.
And it's laborious, right? Because it's not like there's nothing new, there's nothing to generate that new excitement. Like, not to say that we won't do it, of course, but like we still want to just mix it up and make it fun on ourselves so we can keep it, so we can keep it consistent where we put out like 2 shows a week kind of thing.
Yeah. So today the format we want to do is like a would you rather. One of the podcasts I listen to, they call it a jigsaw, like the Saw movies, like you have to
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
pick your dilemma, and usually it's like 2 really bad things. Like some really funny examples. Some of them are gross as hell.
Like what?
Shoot, I don't even remember all of them, but they honestly, like this past off season, because of COVID, they had like a bracket of all, like 64 of the possible choices, and then like they had a finals, like they ran through the whole bracket of all of these choices over several podcasts.
That's pretty wild. The college football podcast that I listen to that covers the Pac-12, podcast of champions, they literally got so desperate for content during the off season, especially in a COVID shortened season last year, in the off season, that they were ranking Disney princesses by their ability to play offensive line, which is ingenious and incredible. But then, like, come on, like, that's desperate. They also did like which coaches would you take in wrestling matches and stuff. It was like, what am I listening to right now?
All right, well, we're not going to do that. So at least that's one thing about not having the off season, I guess. We're not going to struggle for content necessarily.
Yeah, we should always have fresh content. And we're doing a would you rather format today, but then like obviously we're gonna have a midweek episode coming up and then a weekend episode next week, so we'll have a chance to cover more teams in terms of like what their season outlooks and stuff like that.
Yeah. All right, so do you want to kick it off with
Should I kick it off?
Question?
Yes.
Yeah,
because I think you're gonna love this question.
Yeah.
So this is a recruiting related would you rather. Okay, so would you rather go for an out of region big man with an 11 potential and poor SI growth over his high school years, but he has all of the physical tools and an 8 rating in interior defense? Okay. Or go for an international big man with a 13 potential. You obviously have no history of SI growth available to you, so you're making this decision early season. He has all of the physical tools, but his interior defense rating right now is 4.
Okay, this is so different. Wow.
This is a good one, right?
Yeah,
this is really
good. What about like the evals?
Equivalent evals. So everything
Okay.
not mentioned in the comments I said would be a wash.
Okay. Okay.
So when we say like all the physical tools, like let's say they're both 6'11", wingspan 7'3" or something like that, strength like 8 or 9, something that
Mhm.
equivalent, the things that you'd want.
Mhm.
Like these are guys that you would be interested in going after. But these are the two
Gosh.
scenarios it breaks down to.
Yeah, you really picked out like all of the things that I like
Dude, I know you
really
exactly.
prioritize. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Because
so
like
the thing here is that it's a lot of contacts, right? For either international big man or out of region big man. So
mhm.
I feel like this is really going to test you.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, this is tough. Good scenario here, man. Uh like poor, like how poor is the SI growth?
Like less than 10 season over season.
Each season, fudge.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even
The best SI growth season was like 10. And then the
dang,
rest were nines.
that guy sucks. I guess
We're
I
not
mean
taking into
obviously
account starting SI rating for either of them, but let's say it's somewhere around 100. So even though he has poor SI growth, it's already like 100.
okay. I figured they were like about well, even if they were about equal, wow, that would be pretty high.
Yeah.
Um I mean, obviously, like both any of these questions we're gonna ask, like a lot of it depends basically on a lot of things. For me, I would need like it depends on when in the season we're talking about, I guess, because like obviously later in the season, I would see more evidence of either's growth.
No, you're early season. You're
Okay,
like
okay.
first couple
Like
days in,
right now.
you've maybe had, yeah, like right now, you've had maybe 1 or 2 player devs. So you don't really, and
Okay.
they were equal player devs between the two. So you don't really
Yeah.
have a ton of like, oh, that guy is already +7 on the season. The other guy's +2. Like right now, they're both +2 on the season or something.
Dang. Okay.
And you need a big
Uh,
man.
oh man. Of course. Yeah, yeah. I always do. Everyone does.
Yeah.
I'm I'm struggling so much more than I should be.
I knew this one would get to you. I really did.
This is a beautifully crafted one. This may surprise you, but I think I'm gonna go for the out of region big man.
Okay,
The lower
interesting.
pot. Yeah. Why? I couldn't exactly say, but I, I mean obviously like things can depend on a lot of the answer can depend on a lot of things, as I said.
You're
Usually for
answering in a
me,
vacuum, Andrew. You're answering in a vacuum. Answer the
okay, but I'm
question.
also I'm taking into account like me, my teams, my preferences, right?
Yeah.
So like for me, my teams have good development coaches, and so I've certainly seen where a good development coach can like kind of really up those numbers for the poor SI growth type of guy, but you have that evidence, even though it's poor SI growth, it's something, right? Versus like I've had internationals who don't get that at all,
Yeah.
no matter what. Like even if I had the good development coaches, so like that, and you have, I know too. So I think that's my thinking, at least with this. Like in the current status of especially that ID rating is really important to me. So I think that's where I go. And you also know me, like I'm pretty risk averse. So I'd rather go with the guy who like I know
Yeah.
versus that risk reward of the international.
Yeah. So if I were to predict how you would answer this question, I was going to say the out of region big man, even though he has an 11 pot. That's a big difference, right? 11 and 13 pot.
Yeah.
And then the poor SI growth is something that would obviously turn you off. That's why this question is so interesting. But the fact
Yeah.
that he has an 8 rating in interior defense already is like for you, it's like gold mine. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. And if I had
Um,
thrown in more, like his eval will never be a good interior defender, but he's already 8, then it's like, And then the other guy has can be a good all around defensive player or something.
yeah.
Then it gets even more. But at that point, it's like it's getting too complex.
Yeah, yeah. And another thing that I was thinking of was like the amount of competition likely to be on both players.
So that's not part of the question, Andrew. You can't.
No, well, no, well, I know it's not. in terms of the current, like what I see, but in terms of like what I can project, I think that is part of it, right? It's not in a vacuum in terms of just comparing the two players. It's all about context
Of course.
of like looking who else might be interested in them, right? I think that's important in determining the answer to this question, at
Well,
least for
okay,
whoever you
so
are.
let's add a caveat for it, right? So let's say
Okay.
that you're gonna get both of them for sure, like it's guaranteed, right?
Okay.
At
Okay.
at 50 contacts.
Okay. Okay.
So competition's out of it now.
Okay. Okay. Nice curveball there. Okay, first I'd like to say we know which one Divock would pick. That's obvious. I think I'd probably go for the 13 pot if it was like guaranteed that I could get him.
50 contacts, you get either one of them guaranteed.
50 contacts is still a lot, but if it's 50 contacts either way, and I would have to. Yeah. Yeah,
You're
I
changing your
think
answer to the 13 pot big man
I
international.
think so. I think so. I think that like competition aspect of it would be is important to me. Yeah, I think that helps balance the risk reward difference.
Okay. Okay.
Good
Interesting.
question. Dang, dude.
Yeah, I figured
I
that was a good way to start it off.
I like the variety though. I mean, like we're gonna talk about top teams with our questions somewhat, but like it's early in the season. So we don't really know top teams necessarily, like based on record or RPI. We can only really go on the TPIs, but like recruiting is still just starting out. And so like this question kind of gets at that, where should you invest your points? What should you be thinking about? And I think this was really good for that. So
Plus,
nice question.
we're gonna have some fun with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I got a fun, I got some fun one.
All right, kick it off.
Not quite hardwood related, but all right. My first one is not really team related either. But it's a simple one. Would you rather have a good RPI or a good TPI?
Good RPI at this point in the season, or
Oh yeah, yeah.
because at
Yeah,
this
that's a
point in
good
the
question.
season, that's an incomplete, right?
I didn't think about like the timing of it. I just kind of thought more generally. But if you wanted me to assign a time, I'll say like at the end of non-con.
Oh. Yeah, see, these are hard because context is so important, right? Because then like good TPI relative to your conference or good TPI relative to your division. Good.
It should be to your relative to your division.
Okay, that changes stuff. Yeah. Ooh.
And like good, I mean by like making the tournament good. Either way, like your top 60,
Okay.
top 70 in either one.
I think the pretty obvious answer for this one is good TPI because with a good TPI, you have a chance to raise your RPI pretty significantly. And if you're a good RPI, but then you're a bit weaker in TPI, then you're going to probably struggle in conference play. Now, this is context dependent again, because if you have a really weak conference on the season, like we have seen with, our California conference this year is going to be pretty weak, it looks like. Then coming out of non-con with a good RPI might be important because your RPI related wins from conference are going to be pretty low. Granted, if you win a lot of your games, your RPI is going to be strong regardless. But I think a good TPI carries you farther than like an end of non-con good RPI would.
All right. Yeah. Yeah. I think it's also like TPI though, it's only one number. Like it doesn't tell the whole story as we've detailed, right? I mean, we've seen low TPI teams really have success. And so
yeah,
I think that's part of it too.
Yeah, like you need to know the TPI distribution. Like if you
Yeah.
have 3 of your top TPI players all play the same position, then like that's a completely different scenario than like your 5 top TPI players or your starters or something, But we could
Yeah.
literally
So
go
wait,
down the
so
rabbit
did
hole
you,
with all of them.
yeah. Did you decide like what your answer would be here?
Yeah, good TPI.
Good
Yeah.
TPI. Okay. Okay.
Because I want the
Yeah.
skill, I want the talent there, and then I can focus on the RPI building as I go through.
Yeah. I think your point of the good TPI building your RPI later on throughout the conference season was an important one and determine like I think I would pick good TPI as well. But you're right, like it's very context dependent on your conference. especially, I think. So yeah, I don't know. It was just a simple one, but like I don't know. I think a lot of people would maybe think about it differently, and especially if it was a different point in the season as well, right?
Yeah. Yeah, of course. The question changes, right? Like let's say you're 7 games, 7 games remaining in the season. I'd probably rather have a good RPI at that point because
Hmm.
that means my team, the SI is distributed in a way that I'm successful. Like,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know, um,
yeah.
yeah.
By the way, for your question, what would you have picked?
Oh, I would have went after the big man, the international big man, because I love to make daring decisions
Yeah, yeah,
that have worked out in my favor so far a couple of times. Um,
sure, yeah,
I would rather make the risky choice and then like benefit from the risk reward. Um, but
yeah.
there's also like one of these times I'm going to reach for somebody that I'm not going to get, and it's going to blow up my recruiting for that whole season, and that's going to be a problem. So,
I thought that already has happened.
I mean, sort of, yeah, but like I wouldn't say it's derailed any of my recruiting seasons yet. Like if somehow
Sure,
I didn't
sure.
get Zion McAndrews this year with Santa Clara, I would
Hmm.
be devastated.
Well, what about Jin Wong?
Okay, I didn't dump like 90 contacts into Jin Wong,
Okay,
and Jin Wong is not like a program changer, as we
fair enough.
can see
Okay,
right now with Santa Cruz.
yeah. Obviously, like with your question, actually going back and thinking about it, like the international big man, has four in interior defense. Four is like fine, especially if they're lower pot and have a positive comment, basically. Like especially like if it's great all around defense, then it's possible they could be, whatever.
We
No,
didn't discuss
I know. It's
comments.
like they were all. I know they were supposed to be like equal, but like I
Yeah,
mean, in terms of that does come into play though,
yeah,
because that 13 pot, it could be concentrated in the right skills, or it could be, you know, ball handling and passing, like not as helpful comments, long range shooting. So
right.
like that's important still.
Yeah, definitely. I 100% agree. Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Do,
How about your next question?
do you want a snake or go back and
Sorry, my
forth?
eyes. Let's snake.
Okay, snake, then that's your next question.
Oh, okay, that's fair. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, so we now I'll focus on some teams, and so obviously, well, I'll start with D1, and I found like a cluster of teams
Okay.
that just looked really interesting to me. So, would you rather be? It's not just two; it's four. You got to choose between four teams. Would you rather be Butler, University of Pacific, Lehigh, or Colorado? And so
The
let me provide some context here.
please.
So these teams are 15 through 18 in TPI in Division One, and it's in reverse order. So it's actually Colorado is the highest in TPI, but like not by a lot. Lehigh, University of Pacific, and then Butler. Um, they are. Let me pull that up real quick. Like they're within zero point 0.3 of each other in terms of TPI.
Okay. Okay.
So like basically no difference. Yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously, Butler's in LL1, Colorado's in LL4, Pacific, I think, is in LL3, and Lehigh's in 2. So these are teams that are right next to each other in TPI, but spanning across 4 different league levels.
Yeah.
Um, we know Butler, yeah, they're in Legends, but they're bought right now, and the recruiting does not look like super awesome right now. And their future does not look great. So like that may be taken into account if you wanted to. Um, Obviously Pacific, Lehigh, Colorado, they all have presidents, so it's not
Yeah.
like you can actually put yourself in this scenario. But yeah, that was interesting to me. We can go into their teams like more specifically, like looking at their rosters. But yeah, just off the bat, like, what do you think?
So off the bat, right away, eliminate Butler because
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going into Legends, number one, right? And then number two, I'm not going into Legends with the fact that recruiting is probably in shambles, like we talked about.
Yeah.
Where like why pick a Legends team if it's going to go down to LL2 and then maybe have a successive demotion down to LL3? It's possible. It's, not super likely, but it's possible if recruiting is that bad. So I'm eliminating Butler off the bat. So really this question for me comes down to University of Pacific, Lehigh, and Colorado. Now Colorado's, go ahead.
Sorry, with Butler, right? They're ranked fourth in Division I in DPI currently, and they're the number one ranked team like in the whole game right now. So like, you get to feel that feeling, that rush. Oh man, I'm the number one team in the game.
Yeah.
Okay,
so
sorry, now you go.
okay, no, those are fair points, right? And number one, I want to build something. I always am a builder.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to jump into the number one team in the game. That's bullshit to me. It's not bullshit,
Yeah,
but like
yeah.
I despise that. But looking at their roster, so 3 of their top 4 SI guys and 2 of their 2 best SI guys are seniors. 4 of their 5 top SI guys are all seniors. Oh wow. So yeah, they have a lot of seniors. They're losing 6 guys this year.
Sharing screen. Yeah.
Yeah, they're losing 6 guys this year.
Yeah. Yeah.
So immediately for me, that's a huge turnoff because like I said, yeah, maybe you do something successful this year, but now next year you're going to be pretty bad, right? For starters. And then now we know that the recruiting is in shambles. So like I said, yeah, it's like, do you have the that's a bunch of JC sophomores.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. But I mean, those are okay. Those are poor. Those are pretty poor SI JC sophomores. Yeah.
And yeah, like all the high school seniors, they're losing on.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Okay, this is trash. Yeah. Never mind.
They're on John DiMaggio. Oh, I thought this actually said Joe DiMaggio when I first saw
it. So yeah, those obviously like you see star ratings like that. The JC sophomore at the top, he's like a 4-star and all.
Yeah.
But like that doesn't really tell you the true story, and he's in a competition there. Yeah, no, I'm punting Butler all the way.
Okay. So Butler's out.
It's not one season of glory for like 2 or 3 seasons of ineptitude. I'm not going for that.
Yeah.
I would rather be successful for like multiple seasons,
Yeah. Okay. So then let's talk about Pacific, Lehigh, and Colorado.
Yeah. So my first inclination was Colorado. So let's take a peek at their roster though, because you have to make informed decision. Wow, President Bad Manners. I like that. Oh God. Okay. A 15-pot redshirt sophomore who's a 169 SI. I'm already hard. I'm probably going Colorado. So they also graduate a lot of seniors, but you have a roster composition right now that can make a good run. If this were like an LL5 team, then that's a completely different question. But the fact that they're LL4, like you can make the D1 tournament and make a nice run with this team. And then presumably this team's going to promote, right? And then next season, you still have your 2 top SI guys, next season. And you have Guillermo Cordero for 2 more seasons after this season. Yeah. So I'm probably rolling with Colorado. Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's still take a look, of course, at Lehigh and Pacific, though.
Yeah. It's an interesting little grouping, though, that you pointed out there.
Yeah. And actually, there's another one right below it, in fact, but it wasn't quite as enticing. Portland, USC, Tennessee, and UCLA, all in separate division or league levels as well.
Yeah.
But this was just a little stranger to me, this one. So that's why I went with them. Okay, so here's Lehigh.
So Lehigh set up to be really good this year, but again, they're losing a lot. 2 of their top 3 SI guys are graduating this year. And then another center on the roster.
So like Barrett and Garner. So yeah, they lose like both their big mans and Lucan. So
they're literally
like
going to Wiggins. Yeah,
all the way down to Wiggins next year.
And he's already a sophomore and he's only a 94 SI. Yeah, I'm punting the shit out of
Lehigh. So out on Lehigh as well. I mean, I don't know what their recruiting really looks. Wrong team. Sorry, that was Pacific.
Okay, I was gonna say. Oh yeah, sometimes it
when you click like multiple. Yeah.
Oh, so Lehigh, you asshole.
They're on this team.
I'm 100% punting. Yeah, no, I know. I'm gonna pump more points into him than you, so like stop trying.
They're the LL2, man. It's gonna be tough.
I don't care. Whatever. I win competitions.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, they're on a couple big men. is
Yeah,
basically
and
the
he's got to
point.
spread points. He's literally in extreme
This
competitions
5-star.
on
Yeah.
Doherty and Callaway
Yeah.
and
Yeah, that's
Tolliver.
true. And Tolliver, yeah.
Yeah, so miss me with that. He's just jumped on Mueller because Mueller has an eager to commit early, and he hoped that he could get to an equivalent level and get an early commitment, which is a fair play. I'm not criticizing the president for that. That's a fair play. But
Yeah, right.
yeah, no, suck it. I'm gonna get that guy. Um,
Fair,
yeah, I'm
fair.
punting Lehigh. I'm punting Lehigh.
Okay, so not Lehigh. So both of the top two uh teams are out, and Colorado looking like the favorite. All
Yeah,
right.
Colorado's the favorite so far. Let's see
Let's look at
Pacific.
Pacific then.
How many players are on this roster?
19.
Wow.
Hey, I've seen like 22-man rosters before.
Yeah, lots of team managers, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's see. Oh
Lots of
man, dude, these teams are loaded with talent. Like it makes it more difficult.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, this is the team that got Lauren Crouch. He's the undersized. I can't do the conversion like you, but he's an undersized.
Sorry, 6'2.5". Yeah.
Yeah, and
I've
Dion
gotten better.
Evans.
Oh yeah, Dion Evans. Remember him?
Yeah, I remember. I do. Is he playing in minutes at center?
I would guess so. I mean, he's the tallest guy on this team until you get down to like Sealy down here.
Is Pacific trying to be APU? Like, what's going on here?
Oh, but he's not really playing this season or
Yeah.
last season, but the last season was a red shirt.
I'm very Confucius.
Maybe Stevie Lane is the center here.
So
I would
what's
assume.
the conversion there? What's 78?
6'6".
Oh God. Okay. But he has a nice wingspan. I think we looked at it. I think his wingspan is like,
Yeah, 7'1.5".
yeah, okay. So and he's
I'm getting
got
better
he's
at it.
obviously really talented.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm also punting on Pacific.
Okay, so Colorado's your choice here.
Colorado's my choice, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I think the way we looked at it, I think you're probably right in terms of like the future. In terms of this season, I mean, Colorado still looked good, and Pacific just doesn't have the size, right? I mean, like, yeah, they looked really skilled and have all these highly rated guys, but I don't think that's it. I thought Lehigh looked like they had the size and the skill, like for this season specifically. But I think in terms of like future as well, Colorado, yeah, probably the answer.
Yeah, and so right, I think we're in agreement. If it's like, what would you take this season, and then if you rebuild, fine. I think we're both going Lehigh. But if we're looking at the next 2-3 seasons, which we always care about, I think we're both going Colorado.
Yeah. So I don't know. I thought that was really interesting though.
Yeah, that's
and
a
also
good question.
teams we didn't really look at last season. So
I mean, also to be fair, they're all in really good positions. Like this is a question where we have to break it down between 4 teams. Like, so, we have to punt away teams or whatever, but they're all in really good positions. So like, they're all really well managed, and they're obviously top, 18, top 17,
20.
18, top 20, whatever you want to call it, in TPI and D1. So they're good teams.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
All right. Next question.
All right. My turn. Okay. So should I jump into a team related question, or should I stick with the interesting non-team related ones? Let's go into a team related one. Let's mix it up a little bit. Okay. So in D1, we have, actually, let me just pull it up real quick. In D1, we have Francis Marion, who's in, I always get these wrong. I.1 is LL3, right?
Yes.
Are they L's or I's?
In the Roman numeral terms, they're I's.
Okay, I thought so.
But
yeah,
LL means league level.
Yeah, of course, right. I know that, but I mean, like when it says II.1, it's like II, right?
Yeah.
It's not
they're
like
Roman
LL.
numerals.
Yeah, okay, I thought so. Okay, so let me pull it up real quick. Okay, so we have Francis Marion.
Oh, sorry, I can share. I'm already there.
Oh, you're already there? Yeah, you're quicker than me. So Francis Marion, and then if you go to the rankings and find them.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then do your thing where you sort by TPI and then sort by conference.
Okay.
Because this is going to be like a
TPI
situational ranked question.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So we have, I just saw them. Francis Marion right here.
Yes. Okay, so Francis Marion, so you're in LL3, right?
Yeah, yeah.
If that's right, whatever, I don't care. Maybe it's LL4 because there's 1, 2, and then I.1. Yeah, it's LL4. I don't care, whatever.
No, it's LL3.
But you have legends, and then you have II2 or 1, and then you have IA2, and then you have,
And
okay,
then
it's fine. LL3. I don't care. I get so confused. Okay, LL3. So in this conference right here, you have 7 teams that are in the top 50 of TPI, right? As you see here, it's a really loaded
yeah,
conference.
yeah.
13 of the 16 are in the top 100 of TPI.
Whoa. Holy
Yeah,
moly.
yeah. Um, okay, so that's really good, right? So let's compare the two teams, and then I'll ask the situational question. The other
Okay.
team that I'm going to compare is Cal State Fullerton,
Okay. So
who's
let's see where
in,
they. Oh, I just see them right here.
yeah. That's what, LL4, right?
No, that's still LL3,
Okay,
3.2.
yeah, whatever, help me. Okay, and then so you have two teams
Can
that
we
are in
get
the
so
top.
many comments on this?
I really don't care. They can. I'm an LL5 guy as of right now. I'll learn it when I get to D1.
Yes,
Okay,
yes, you are.
so you have two teams in this conference that are in the top 50 of TPI, and only 7 of the
Mm-hmm.
16 in the top 100. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now, so obviously CSUF has a weaker conference, but Francis Marion has a stronger conference, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a much stronger conference. So would you rather be Francis Marion and finish like around 6th place, like be the 6th place team in this conference and make the tourney? Okay. Or would you rather be Cal State Fullerton? You have the 3rd best TPI in conference, but they're all seniors. Okay. And so you have a chance for
Mm-hmm.
promotion reasonably. Okay. So let's say, you finish 3rd. Okay. But Cal State Fullerton has 9 scholarships available to you starting next season, right? So you have 3 seniors that are your best players here, right? You're presumably going to contend for promotion because your conference is weak. But then it's a complete rebuild job after that. You're literally going to have to land recruiting classes back to back that are really good to keep you up, right? If you have a chance. Or you're Francis Marion, right? You finish middling in your conference. Well, not middling, but right outside promotion. You make the tourney, but then you only have 4 scholarships available next season, and you're not as senior heavy. So I know this is a complex question, but
So yeah. So let's see. So we're talking the things to weigh here, right? Are making the tourney, promotion, the roster composition, and recruiting, right? That's kind of and
yeah.
how it
So it's
obviously
like,
plays into next season and beyond.
so CSUF is going to obviously, if they make the tournament and get promotion, they're going to get a prestige bump from both of those, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then they are a likely candidate next season to go right back down. Okay. So thinking in my mind, if you're Cal State Fullerton, you have 9 scholarships available, right? You want to land a good class this year and a good class next year, and then probably a good class after that. You want to replenish talent. But if you go back down next year, then that's going to hurt your chance at success for the season after that, because you're presumably already on your guys, right? So it sort of becomes a challenging rebuild to not have like, successive demotions.
Mm.
Versus
Yeah.
if you're Francis Marion, you're staying in your conference this year, you're missing out on promotion, you're still making the turning, so you're getting that prestige bump, but you don't have as drastic of a rebuild.
Hmm. I mean, I think I would rather be Francis Marion, basically. Like, it's not that I don't enjoy a rebuild. I do.
Yeah.
But it just sucks to be like, it sucks to be like right at the top of the hill, but on your way down and just like unable to stop it, basically.
Yeah. So go to the
And like a
roster.
steep hill for Francis Marion.
Yeah.
Or yeah, okay.
So again, their top 3 guys are all seniors, but then look at how
Mm-hmm.
talented they are with underclassmen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
There's some good players there
definitely.
that are still freshmen and sophomore.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
And then a
Yeah, so
couple
they
true
they
freshmen
might.
at the bottom that they're probably going to redshirt that'll be contributors, pretty soon.
Yeah, they might demote next year, depending. I mean, it looks like they might be okay still next year, but yeah, this is a good team still in the future as well.
I think they're good enough with their talent, dependent on their player dev, that they survive demotion next season.
Yeah.
because they're
Yeah.
staying in this conference, right? And of course,
Right.
that's context dependent on how good that conference is, but I still think they'd have a pretty good shot
Right.
at avoiding demotion.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they might get lucky and still promote, but I know that's not really part of this question.
Yeah.
I mean, it can be kind of like, they have a shot. It's just not very likely.
Yeah.
Versus
So
like
that's why I
Fullerton
chose
obviously has
them.
a shot to not.
That's why I chose them, because they're less likely to have a shot than Fullerton in this case.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I would rather be Francis Marion. Just because like, in terms of like in terms of the bump from going from LL3 to LL2, like we've heard it's not that much. Obviously, we have no experience with it, so we don't know for sure.
Yeah.
But a lot of people who have played in both have said like it's not that significant. So like that's not as important. I think the important thing is like trying to avoid dropping down to LL5 as much as possible. With and like you said, Fullerton is, they're a ways away from LL5 still, especially if they promote this season. But it's just it's a tougher situation, certainly.
Yeah. Like we said, they have to have successive, or multiple successful. I know it's a stupid way to say it, but they have to have successful recruiting classes for the next 2 or 3 seasons, right?
Mm-hmm.
To avoid, and by successful, it's like they got to land their guys, and their guys have to develop well also. To
Yeah,
avoid
right,
having
right,
a situation where they have a couple years of demotions,
right.
which would, it's not that far-fetched that they could go up next season, go right back down, and then they're straddled with one of those really like the division that we're looking at, Francis Marion, where you're straddled with one of those conferences where like it's really, really strong. And then, oh shit,
Mm-hmm.
now I have a really young team. I'm going down again. And it could be a snowball effect.
Yeah, right, right. Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, I would hope it only lasts until like them dropping down to like LL4, but like it could get bad to that where they drop down to LL5 potentially. Yeah.
I think there's a possibility, but not a likelihood, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn, this LL3 conference is ridiculous though.
Yeah.
5, 7, 12. Wow.
That's
I'm
what I'm
sure we'll be
saying. So
talking
like,
about these teams later on.
yeah, Francis Marion's really damn good, but then they're in a really freaking strong conference.
Conference. Yeah, yeah. I'm trying to take a quick look at everyone else too.
I think that's the strongest for sure.
Wow. Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Just
Besides Legends is probably the strongest.
yeah, well, Legends is a whole nother case,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Legends is just ridiculous.
This one 2.1 is pretty good too.
Yeah, that one's actually really stacked.
2.2 is not bad though. Yeah, so like, but like there's only 3 conferences. That's going to be like, I don't know, 20 teams, 25 teams in the tournament. There's still 40 other spots that need to be taken up by these other 12 conferences, I guess, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah,
it's still a lot of spots.
So your final answer is Francis Marion?
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Sorry. Who would you go with?
I was going to say the same.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, Francis Marion. That seems like the most obvious choice in this case for how we like to run things. Fullerton might have glory this season, and like we've always wanted, postseason glory. So, but I would rather not demote ever.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Is it your next question too?
Yes. So I'm going to snake it back around. Instead of doing teams this time, I'm going to do like a hypothetical categorical kind of like a game tactics
You
one.
came up with such diverse questions. I love it.
I thought my questions were going to be trash, but they actually turned out pretty well.
Yeah.
Okay. So for my next question, Sir Andrew, idiot number 2. My question, let's see, which one should I choose from? Okay, I'm actually going to go at you with a coaching question because I think it's interesting. Actually, no, you know what? We'll save that one. I'm going to go for a promotion related question because it makes sense given the context of what we just talked about.
Okay.
So it's almost like an overlap. Would you rather promote in a season where you have a really great roster, but a lot of seniors and you have no tourney success?
Ooh.
Okay. And this, we're assuming this is D1, right?
Okay.
So promote in a season where you have a great roster, but a lot of seniors and no tourney success, so an early exit, or not promote, but also have a lot of seniors, but make a Final Four / championship run.
Okay, so I also have a lot of seniors here.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so it's basically promote but lose in the first round or whatever, or not promote but make it far. Ooh. I think that's an easy one for me, though, to be honest. I think this will overlap with a lot of the questions we do end up asking, team specific too. But for me, I would rather not promote it, but make a big playoff run, big national tournament run. and like, I know we both agree on this, and we've talked a little bit about why, but for me, it honestly has a lot to do with like the pressure that I would feel with promoting to a higher level. Because then I feel like I need to recruit higher and better and like more efficiently. And like I try to do that anyways, but like it just amps up, and like I don't need that in my life.
Yeah. I think I agree. I've always wanted that postseason glory, like we mentioned earlier, and making a Final Four championship run. Even if I don't win, it's like, tournament for me is like the most exciting days.
It's weird though, because like I just said, that wasn't the main driver for me, really. Like the prestige bump from the tournament, like the crazy run of like obviously like luck, as we saw in the bracket challenge.
Yeah, in the bracket challenge. So
like
the thing is,
mine is more like fear-based, to be honest.
Yeah, I get that too. The thing is for me, like promotion's great, and I want to promote successive. Like I want to be in like LL3 or LL2, or like I want to continue climbing. But like, I don't know, it's such a unique achievement to have a trophy, like an NCAA championship trophy or a Final Four appearance,
Yeah.
Like even Florida State, Mississippi, like all the teams we talked about last season as, oh yeah, these guys are like guaranteed Final Fours, or like Michigan Tech, like, tourney success is not guaranteed in any way. And so I think that it makes it like, for me, a more intriguing achievement.
For sure. Yeah, that's a good point. It's like, it does seem more rare and just like a random chance type of thing. No, not completely, but like it's pretty tough.
Yeah.
Not to say promoting isn't tough, but like it's certainly not as rare. I mean, literally 3 teams in every conference do it every season. Yeah, I like that question though. I mean, obviously like my goal is to promote and get to the top, but like I've joked about it, but I'm also kind of serious. Like, I wouldn't mind just like staying in D2 and kind of just like being good there for a long time.
Okay, so let's say that's 1A. I'm going to ask a 1B, and I think it immediately piggybacks off what you just said. So would you rather, so this is going to be an obvious answer, I think, promote from D2 to D1 for a season, but then immediately demote the season after, or not promote and finish 4th in conference and achieve nothing?
And the second scenario, I'm D2 as well.
Yeah.
Oh,
so you finish 4th in your D2 conference, but then you don't even have tourney success or anything. It was just like a finish 4th and that's it.
Yeah. I mean, if I don't get tourney success, then that really changes things. So.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's literally just a 4th place finishing conference is your achievement for the year.
Yeah. That's a nice question. Nice follow up. I think, and I've also asked you this though too, right? Is it actually good? Is it a good idea to just promote and then demote constantly? Because like obviously like your recruiting takes a hit like every time you demote technically, but like if it's cyclical, it's fine, you can deal with it.
Yeah.
But like you get that prestige bump every single time. Assuming you make the tournament when you promote, which is like a pretty decent chance. You might have success then. You might win your conference sometimes, and that's more prestige points. So like, I think I would take that first option, promoting from D1 to D2 to D1, and then just immediately demoting afterwards, simply because of the prestige bumps.
So I think mine answer is the same. So number one, you're going to get a prestige bump, like you said, and then we've seen how much that plays into account with recruiting and stuff. And then the second point is you're going to get a year of D1 recruiting, right? So like you want to hammer home those two classes or that year, that D1 class, because then you're going to have like a bump at the flip where your guys are going to go up, right? And then you're going to have the D1 prowess for a whole season of recruiting. And then sure, you go back down and it probably hurts you recruiting wise, but you could probably take like one or two guys that year and then refocus on the year after, that kind of thing.
I think there were two main points for me. Prestige is permanent, number one.
Yeah.
You do not ever lose prestige. And shoot, I just lost my train of thought. Like you said, you get that D1 bump in recruiting. Oh, my other point was that the chance of having tourney success along with the promotion is important versus, since you said there was no chance of tourney success with that fourth place finish.
Yeah.
That's I think the big difference, or also the chance of like getting additional prestige as well, not just from promotion. I think
So-
that was a big thing.
Quick philosophical question. Do you think
Mm.
prestige should be permanent?
No, I don't think it should be.
Okay, me neither.
I do think that,
Or it should be less weighted.
I just don't know the weight of it really, basically. So it's hard for me to say on that. But like, I do think it shouldn't be permanent. I do think you should lose prestige when you demote at least. And maybe there's some other things too. Like if you have a just incredibly bad season, like it can take away more or something.
Yeah.
But I do also think that promoting should be more, you should get more for promoting than you would lose from demoting.
That's a fair trade-off. Yeah.
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 But yeah, I think that's a fair question, but I think it was an easy answer for me.
Yeah, I think we're in agreement on that as well.
All right. Is it my turn now?
Yeah, your turn to snake around and ask 2 questions.
Okay, so mine are both going to be team related, just like my last one was.
Okay.
And of course, we do try to hit the lower divisions as well. So this will be D2 and D3 teams. And it'll pretty much be the same like type of questions as each other, and also as we've just pretty much asked, because that's all you can kind of do in these divisions when you're like looking conference wide,
Yeah.
But basically, my teams that I chose were: would you rather be Ferrum / Central Washington? And I should share my screen. Let's see, Ferrum or Central Washington, they're kind of the same in my book right now, at least. I mean, I know their records are massively different right now, as are their RBIs, but like very similar in TPI, same conference, right? Or would you rather be Elizabethtown up here? Okay, so that's just by TPI. Now let's go by conference. Where's Elizabethtown? I'm lost. Sorry.
Just search.
Okay, Elizabethtown, right? So they're obviously top in their conference. The next highest is 46 in Arkansas.
Wow.
Right, and then there's like one other maybe tourney quality team, and then like one on the edge. I mean, maybe there's 2 tourney quality, and then like one more top 100, and everyone else 131 is the highest.
Oh.
This is not a strong conference.
No, not at all.
But Elizabethtown is top 10.
Yeah. They're really talented, obviously.
Yeah, in terms of TPI. And again, I haven't like looked at the breakdown of this roster completely yet, and we can certainly, but we'll do that in a little bit. Or would you rather be Ferrum / Central Washington, right on the the edge here of 3rd and 4th, right on the edge of promotion, basically?
But you have 2 teams that are really strong ahead of you too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
including St. Edwards, who's 148.
And you have a pretty decent like second tier, right?
Yeah.
Where these teams can beat you and potentially take your promotion spot, or spoil your opportunity to promote, and obviously, and then potentially tournament chances as well, and certainly tournament seeding. Yeah. So similar question as we just asked several times before, but I think this is like
the most applied scenario, probably.
Yeah, and I think it with D2, it's really important because like the reason why I like D2 is because it's small enough in terms of divisions where it's not like one or two teams per conference make the tournament.
Yeah.
And like you can actually have strong conferences. But promotion is also important. Going up to D1, that's a huge deal.
Yeah.
So I think like that promotion, guaranteed promotion, or like a really likely promotion versus tournament is like most prevalent in D2.
Yeah. Man, I think I want to be Elizabethtown because of numerous factors, right? So before this is first blush. So number one, you're the best team in the conference by TPI, and it's a pretty considerable margin, right? So they're about 6 TPI better than Arkansas, and they're almost 10 TPI better than the third best team. They're right below.
Mm-hmm.
They were right below.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. They're like
Gotcha,
stacked on top of each
oh,
other.
look, it fits on the same page. Good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Elizabethtown is like almost 10 TPI better than the third best TPI team, right? So
Yeah.
so it's pretty safe to say that Elizabethtown, barring any injuries or anything like that, is going to promote. Now, as we
Yeah.
just mentioned, all of the benefits that come from going from D2 to D1, those are very, very attractive, right? Not to mention the fact that winning your
Mhm.
conference, maybe winning your conference tourney, appearing in the tournament, those are all prestige bumps. So for me, those are all very attractive things. Central Washington and Ferrum, those are both really good teams too. But that's a tough. So you always think about like on any given day, how many teams are likely or have like a considerable shot at beating me. And I would say if you're Ferrum, right, it's St. Edwards, Centenary College of Louisiana, Central Washington, Roanoke, San Diego State, Western Oregon, and maybe King. That's just a lot.
Yeah.
That's just a lot. There's
Yeah.
numerous days where you
Yeah.
could trip up and then you're like automatically, or not automatically, but your promotion battle is in jeopardy really quick.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that's my first blush take on that.
Yeah. Totally. I mean, like this question is kind of really just about this year, so like
Yeah.
not really taking into account the like recruiting situations, graduations, although that's that can be part of the question still as well, or part of the answer.
Okay, so if you want to make it
teams because they have,
if you want to make it just this year, then I'm still taking Elizabethtown because they're still the most likely to get promoted and like win their conference.
Yeah, I'm just opening up the rosters to really like kind of break down how they stack up.
Yeah,
I mean, Elizabethtown, just like off the bat, they're not that big.
So she said. You're right. They don't have the requisite size. Steve Daniels pretty small for center, right?
6'5.5". Whoa.
Oof. Yeah, rough.
If he is the starting center, it looks like he should be.
And Quinn McMullen is like 6'4.5". Yeah, they don't really have many big guys at all.
Yeah.
With that said, looking at their TPI rest of the conference, like we talked about, it's trash. So that may not be important. As important.
I think I was more thinking about like the tournament at this point for these teams, right? Elizabethtown pretty much guaranteed promotion, likely tournament team. So now we're looking like how far can they go in the tournament, right?
Okay, so that's a different context question. So let's look at the roster of the other teams. Yeah.
Okay, and I mean like it's early in the season. Like this is just a preview, so we're not. I don't know. We can't like predict like that necessarily, but I don't know. It's important to like label contenders now too.
Sure. Okay, so there's a lot of really good players in this roster. Yeah.
They actually beat New Rochelle. They beat me like first game of the regular season. Like I don't remember by how much, but like not, it was
close.
I forget. Let's look. It was not a great game for me. Yeah, 6 points. 6-point win for them. So like
it's a quality W. Yeah.
It was a quality win for them for sure. Yeah. Like this is a good team. Very, very good. Purvis, good ass point guard.
Yeah. I can see that.
They're not super good. Sorry, they're not super big. I mean, like I was super confused by their team, to be honest. Like they have 4 or 5 guys. I think these four, Miller, Tisdale, Gutierrez, and Heredia, who could like all be power forward
Yeah.
slash small forward slash like a
Is
couple of them
Jaeger the
can play
starting
shooting guard.
center?
But Jaeger is the starting center. Yeah. Even though I thought it was possible Gutierrez might be. So I was like, I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't really know how to plan for them, especially first game of the season. Like,
So I know, real quick, just a quick comment. I know this question is in context of this season, but they have
yeah.
7, 12 pots and 3 4-stars, and there's a lot of young talent on this team.
Yeah, no, they set up really well for the future too.
It's
for
attractive as fuck. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Let's look at Ferrum's roster real
Okay.
quick.
Fairness.
The Panthers.
Mhm.
Ooh. Ooh, a 179 SI point guard. Ooh.
As a senior, wow,
16
a two
pass,
pot.
18
He's
handle.
earning a 2-star. Whoa! Oh my god.
A 2-star 12 pot? What's his growth?
Yeah, let's look. That's wild. That's crazy.
Yeah.
How's this guy out? Oh, I thought he had like 6 years of playing.
87 to 116, 116 to 138, 138 to 162, 162, 179.
Dude, he might break
What?
100. He might break 100 like growth in college.
Go to his high school dev. What the hell?
23. Started at 23. Holy moly. 22, 13, 14, 15 still.
So
Wow.
that's certainly good, but it's not like 20, 17, 16 or something.
Well, 20. Yeah.
Yeah. Holy shit. What's this coach's development rating? I'm just perplexed.
Yeah, for sure. Let's look. 19. Okay.
Okay.
That's
All
a big
right.
deal.
Kendall Carroll, yeah.
And they have another good developer and assistant, Macklin.
Damn.
Boyd doesn't have any comments. Even Register has a positive comments, even so it may not be as high as 11 or as Macklin, but like still pretty good. Damn, this guy's
Oh,
good
he's got 4
coach.
comments.
All positive, yeah.
He's already 42 though.
Sure, but like that's still 8 years.
Yeah, of course. Wow, okay.
Wow. Dude, he might break 100 and SI improvement in college. Wow.
That's wild. Okay, so let's get back into the context of the question. This team doesn't look
Not
like it
that
has a
big
ton
of
of
a team.
size either. Yeah. So that mitigates
it's a moot point
concerns
for all of them.
Exactly. Yeah, it mitigates the concerns for all the teams. Yeah, it's a moot point.
Basagog.
Daniel Basagog. Christo Nikolov.
Chiristo, yeah.
Christo. DeAndre Butts.
Yeah.
Anyways, we're 12.
Yeah, right.
Okay, so I'm probably going Ferrum then now in terms of this season because I think that dominant of a point guard can have such an effect on the game. I think the 2 most important positions in the game, in my experience, are center and point guard.
For sure, yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and so like if none of these teams has the impact center, I'm going with the next tangible answer, which is impact point guard, and this is a damn good point guard.
Yeah. I'm gonna go against what we're not gonna agree for the first time.
Okay.
This whole pot. Actually, we didn't agree with your first question, I guess, but
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna go Central Washington. Just like you know me, I like to have like a really versatile, like hard to guess roster.
Yeah.
That can do a lot of different things, and I think this team has that. They're also somehow the biggest out of these 3, so like that helps.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think I would prefer Central Washington, but yeah, so I think this was this is an interesting question. I like how we didn't pick the guaranteed promotion, even though we just talked about like we would rather be guaranteed promotion.
Yeah.
But then get knocked right back down. So you can't believe us, I guess. We're not consistent with our philosophy.
Yeah. Well, it's either that or everything is just so context dependent that like our answers can change at any point.
Yeah, obviously, yeah.
Or we're flip-floppers, wafflers.
Yeah, we definitely are. All right. My Division 3 question is kind of the same, but I think it's like I say it's on steroids. Maybe it's like the opposite of steroids. Maybe it's like so deflated. You don't want to be either of these teams.
It's estrogen.
Oh my gosh. I'm not gonna get into I'm not gonna
You,
signify that.
I mean, you said in steroids. I insist, or whatever. Okay. Anyways,
I guess estrogen it could be. Um
estradiol, whatever. Estrogen
um
precursors.
all right. Would you rather be Brown, number 9 in TPI, but no one else in the conference is in the top 100? So safe to say that's a weak conference. Yikes. Or would you rather be, it's such a long list, I don't even know where they are. Or would you rather be William and Mary, 42 in TPI, but fourth in like, certainly not the strongest conference, but not like super weak, especially with number 1 and then 2 other top 35 teams.
It's top heavy, yeah.
And even a decent team in Utica here. So
yeah. Okay,
but
so
still like not super strong.
Yeah. So now is this a one season or multi-season kind of thing? It's just like this season. Which one would you rather take?
I think the way I thought about it originally was just like tournament versus promotion type of question.
Yeah.
So let's start with that.
Okay. So my immediate thought with D3, and we have a lot of experience with this, obviously, is that with D3, there's so many freaking conferences that there's not a lot of tourney spots to go around, right? Like with Kingsville last year, I was the only team in my conference to make the tournament, and it's only because I won the conference. I won the conference tourney.
Yeah,
so
if you
I
lost,
think,
it would have been really tough.
yeah, I was on the bubble the entire time, leading my conference all season.
Yeah.
So from my immediate thoughts, I'm probably going with Brown because Brown is almost guaranteed to win their conference tourney, their conference regular season and their conference tourney, because that conference is so trash. Now conference tourneys are just as much of a crapshoot as national tourneys. But I like Brown's talent discrepancy there, where if you're William and Mary here, you're battling for a top 3 spot, right?
Mhm.
Which presumably you're going to need to be top 2, top 3 in a strong conference in order to get a spot. That's just how D3 works.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit more uncertainty there. Now, because this conference is going to be really strong, right? You may have more leeway. Your RPI may be strong enough that you have some, you shoot up those rankings, even if you're like 4th place, that's always possible.
Actually, I think this question is more about like a floor versus ceiling too.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree, because Brown has probably a higher ceiling based on their TPI ranking. Now we have to look at their rosters, of course.
No, I would disagree. I think in terms of tourney, in terms of the national tournament, I think William and Mary has a higher ceiling.
Okay, why?
Because if they somehow end up being first or second or winning their conference tournament, their seeding can be much higher than Brown's would be, I think.
Okay, so that's fair in a normal national tourney context, but given what we saw with the tournament challenge last year, does seeding really matter?
Well, that's fair. Okay, in terms
especially
of like
in D3
going far in the tournament, then yeah, that's fair. In terms of advancing in the tournament, then you're right. Yeah.
I mean, in this damn game, 16 to beat 1s and 15 to beat 2s on the reg. Like, who freaking knows?
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. So you'd be Brown then? Yeah.
I think I'd be Brown. Yeah.
Because Brown's the guaranteed.
Yeah. Brown is 9th in TPI, and what William Mary's 43. We said that's a really stark difference, I think.
Yeah. So like Brown is like guaranteed tourney spot almost. I mean, okay, not technically. If they lose in the conference tournament, they're not making the tournament.
It's probably pretty likely. Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah, but likely tournament and almost guaranteed promotion.
Yeah.
Versus not guaranteed tourney, not guaranteed promotion, but if they win their conference tourney, if they do well in the conference, they could be really high in the tournament in terms of seeding. Yeah, with William and Mary.
I think I just put such a weak emphasis on tournament seeding, given what we saw last year. Now,
Mhm.
before I would be 100% with you. I'd be like, give me the stronger conference. I'm going to end up with a better seed. That's more important, especially
Yeah.
with what we saw with Bowling Green, who was literally ranked and dominating right and left and couldn't even get like a top 2 seed. But because their conference was so bad.
Well, no, they were number 2 seed.
Yeah, towards the very end, but like we were tracking throughout it all.
Oh, just right.
That like they were 4-3, like they weren't like it wasn't a stronghold on a 2 seed.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I think a part of it though is like that stress that you would feel with having a projected low seed, like Brown will be projected too, throughout the season. So
that's fair. As a president, yeah, that's fair. You sort of can't have a bad stretch, because it feels like
Yeah.
if you were to lose like 3 or 4 or something like that, and it puts you on the bubble, it's really hard to go from on the bubble back to in, versus if you're just in the whole time.
Yeah.
That's also a fair point.
Yeah.
I think
So
I'm still sticking with it because some of these teams are so damn bad in TPI that I struggle seeing them lose a lot. Like the worst team in terms of TPI is 97.9. They're 137.5. The second team in TPI is 127.6. They're 10 TPI points better.
So I thought you meant overall. Sorry.
Oh no, I was yeah.
Yeah, you just meant this. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, Central Missouri. Remember that they beat me one year in like non-con because I played all my bad players.
And then
I
you were
played
like,
all my like, young guys.
Yeah.
I was so mad about that.
Yeah.
All right, let's just keep it to like this year. I don't think we need to get into like the future of these teams, I guess.
Yeah.
Really. Just to keep things moving along a little bit. Yeah. So hit me with your questions.
Okay. Wait, before we go on, what would you say? You're gonna go with the other team? Elizabethtown?
I think I would still choose William and Mary.
Or William and Mary, yeah.
Yeah, like I said a little bit, or I alluded to, I think that stress of like being such a low seed despite my good record, my TPI, like because it would frustrate me so much, and I don't need that in my life. And it's something that's like not in my control either, and that would be really annoying to me.
That's fair. Okay, so I have 3 questions left, so I'll just shoot 2 of them at you. One of them is teams. Okay. We'll do the teams one now. But I'm looking at it at a different perspective, because we just were looking at promotion and tourney success and all that. I want to look at like a relegation battle, because it's D2, right? Nice. So like a demotion battle, right? So so the first team that I want to look at is Elon. So if you don't mind pulling up the rankings real quick.
Okay. Yeah, let me go down to D2. Sorry, I can't have both share screen and the Google Doc.
Yeah, sorry. I'll tell you. Yeah. Okay. So the first one's Elon, who's in V10.
Okay. Elon Musk.
Oh, gross. Okay, so the first one's Elon, who's in V10, right? They're obviously really bad. They're a 96.9 TPI.
They're like the 3rd worst team in D2.
Yeah. 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 Or Oakland, who's in V11, so right below them.
Oakland.
They're literally right below
Michigan,
them. Right? Yeah. Who's 101.7. I don't know these things. So who is also one of the worst teams in the game. Now, here's the context, right? So if you're Elon, you have a terrible TPI, but look at that conference, right? So there's 10 other teams below 150i in the total TPI rankings. And the TPI gap between Elon and the 6th ranked team in the conference is about 27 points, 27 TPI points. Right. Okay. So that's not a drastic ass difference. Now it's like 96.9 to the next team, which is 111.6. That's a pretty drastic difference in terms of the 2 worst teams. But there is a higher than 0% chance that Elon could get some wins here, right? There's a less than 0% or higher than 0% chance. If you're Oakland, okay, you're a 101.7 TPI, and you're in a conference where the 10th ranked team in TPI, so good enough to survive, is a 124.5 TPI.
Okay.
Okay, that's a difference of 23 in TPI.
Yeah.
So before I said the TPI gap between Elon and the 6th ranked team is 27. Now with Oakland, the TPI gap between them and the 10th ranked team or the first survival spot is 23. Which would you rather be in terms of surviving the season and not having the LL5 to LL6 demotion?
Okay, so let me try to put this into words instead of all these numbers. Elon is the worst team, but they are closer. Like there's more teams within reach.
Yes.
Okay, that's all. I guess the only words I needed.
Yes.
Wow. You know, this is interesting. I mean, we don't really know the like construction of these rosters. I guess we can get into it, but I don't really care.
I don't think we need to. Yeah.
To me, it's like either one is kind of they're both in similar situations. They need to. I don't know what I'm trying to say. There's multiple ways to win in Hardwood, as we've seen. Either these teams could just be like play all of their best players and like maximize the talent, the skill level in their like lineups, and you know maximize their play style for that talent that they bring in. Or if they just have a ton of size, and even though it might be like less skilled, you know, utilize that and hopefully power your way through the opposition. I don't know how these teams are constructed, if either one is even possible. You know, usually when you have that low of TPI, you don't have either.
Oh,
if they're all
sir.
bad.
It's always possible.
I guess, yeah.
Oh, Elon doesn't have a single scholarship player.
Oh well. I mean, obviously, it's not like we can make this more general though, right? You know.
Yeah.
You know, not necessarily Elon specifically. Okay, who would I rather be? I would rather be the team with the more teams within reach, though, for sure. And I think my reasoning with that is partially based on me, because you know me, I game plan a lot, and I do think that I can outcoach a lot of people. So like the more chances I get to outcoach, you know, teams that are within reach, the better. Like the more my personal like game planning, I think will work out in my favor.
Yeah.
Yeah, versus like for Oakland here, you know, yeah, just being raw better than Elon, it's not enough for me competition wise within the context of the conference to like make up for sorry, being better is not enough to make up for the competition difference in conference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I think I agree with you. That was my initial thought as well. Like, you know, how many reasonable chances at W's can I get? And I need to win enough games that I can beat out 5 or 6 teams. How many teams get to Moto 6?
6, yeah.
So I need to be able to beat out 6 teams to survive. And I think Elon, because there's 6 other teams that are, you know, within enough range that you could get W's. I think I agree in that sense.
Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, they're a decent amount ahead, but like we don't know the construction of these rosters either. They might be really bad. They might be, you know, easy to take advantage of, or bots or something. Or they might be that like that one team that I played with Dominican, I think today, where their TPI is like in the 112, but they're playing like they're not playing like their top 6, so they're like actual SI that they run out there is like less than 80.
Yeah, weighted skill index versus TPI is a whole nother argument for sure.
But actually, they played one of their like top 6 today against me. I guess he like realized his mistake, and so his weighted SI went up to like 92, along with like Dev too. So I was like, what the fuck? That's why I only won by 20 today.
Only.
All right, that was a good question though. I liked it. I like the variety there.
Yeah. Okay, so for
Right.
my second question,
Mhm.
you can jump out of this. And
Oh.
I think my second question might actually be more informed by something that we just discovered. It's a coaching related question.
Mhm.
So would you rather have the best recruiting coach in the game, so like a 20, right? But with a poor development rating below 5 and assistants that never get above 5 in development, or have the coach with a 20 rating in development, but he nor his assistants will ever get above 9 in recruiting. And you know what? I should change it to 5 in recruiting to make it a comparable question.
Beautiful. Okay. Because that was a easy one for me. I
Yeah,
did,
yeah,
of course, I like looked at these questions a little bit before, and I didn't like try to think about them too hard because we want this to be like off the cuff quite a bit. But I did think about this was one of the questions I like read first, and I was like, it was easy for me to think about.
yeah.
But now that you change it to 5 recruiting, it's tougher. So I still think I know what I would do, but changing it to 5 recruiting for the assistants and him and the coach, like that'd be pretty tough. But I think I would take the higher development coach with the lower recruiting.
I thought
Um,
so.
and you and I talked about this like when we first started. Remember, like when we were picking coaches, and it was like I want that like the best developer I can find,
Yeah.
right? Um, and for me, it's because I didn't even realize this when we first started, but with recruiting, like for me, it's the joy and what I feel like I'm good at, although it's getting harder, is to find like gems, like these like the like really underrated, under recruited players, and
Yeah.
then get them and then develop them into like good players and
Yeah.
potentially stars, and so like that's so recruiting isn't as important. Development is the important thing for me.
Okay, so what if
Yeah.
I want to make the context of the question a little bit more difficult now, because I think the 5 in recruiting is like not minuscule enough that it makes that much of a difference. Let's change it to a 2.
Ooh.
So your head coach and none of your assistants will ever get above a 2 in recruiting.
Unless I'm firing this coach.
No, that's not the question, sir.
To be honest, if it was a 5, I'd still probably fire him, even if he had a 20.
Okay,
Um, if they have a 5 in anything, they're getting fired.
it's fair.
But I
My
know
head
that's not
coach
part
has
of
a
the
1 in
question.
defense.
Yikes. Does he really?
Yeah,
A 1? I thought it was like 3.
no, it's 1.
Jesus. I've literally never employed anyone with like less than a 7 in anything.
Yep, 1 in defense.
Oh my God. So you actually know what that feels like. I don't.
He's a 16 in dev and a 17 in recruiting.
You're right. Yeah, yeah. I know he's good in that stuff. I mean, so that's part of what influences my question though. Like I've never had anyone with that low of a rating. So I don't really know what like a 2 is really like.
Yeah.
I do have a 6 actually. My head coach for CNR is a 6 in offense, but we're so good anyways.
Okay, continue.
I still wait. So the development is still like a 5 though, or less than 5. That's not changed to 2 for the
Um,
good recruiting, low development coach.
let's change it to 2.
Okay.
So you have a 20 rated coach in development or in
Or
recruiting,
recruit.
but his
Uh-huh.
development never goes above 2, or you have
Uh-huh.
a 20 rating in development, but recruiting never gets above 2. So just the inverse.
Okay. I mean, but I still think it's development over recruiting for me still.
Okay.
I just would have to take worse players.
Yeah, yeah. Okay,
But
interesting.
yeah,
I
I think.
think
How about you?
the answer differs on what league you're in.
Hmm.
But like from a
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, from a hypothetical standpoint though, like I'm taking the recruiter because if my recruiting is that good, then I can recruit players that even if they don't develop like all stars, you know, presumably with that good of a coach, I'm going to reach for some 4 stars and stuff. That they'll be good enough SI wise that even with average development, they're still going to be really good. But
Yeah, I think yeah.
I'm there with you though. I understand the development argument.
I think you're right. It just depends on like what league level you're at, and also like kind of where you are on the competitive spectrum as well, within that. But like, yeah, if I'm LL3 or higher, then yeah, I'll probably go for the recruiting coach over the development coach. But if I'm like LL6, yeah, development all day.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay. I might as well just finish my last question so you can finish with your
Yeah,
two. Yeah.
yeah, I like that. I'm good with
Okay.
that.
So
Because
mine
yours are so
is
good and mine suck. So
mine is a player management related question. And this is specifically going
awesome.
to have to
Yeah,
do with Santa Clara. Um,
yeah.
so this is a thinking hypothetically for promotion contention, right? So Santa
This is all
Clara's
because he didn't get the he wasn't here for the advice,
I
team
wasn't here to get
advice
roasted by Fury. I was hiding.
show
Yes.
last week.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, ask away.
Anyways, liquid nitrogen, but whatever. Okay. Um, so, okay, thinking hypothetically for promotion contention, because we both think we have a good shot at promoting in our California conference. I have a player, Cole Brown. Okay. So he never had a red shirt season. And, this thinking of this question was why I never redshirted him. Not to mention the fact he's also a 4-star. Okay. So would you rather redshirt him this junior year? So this is his last year in which you can redshirt him. Yeah, okay, cool.
I just
So
wanted to share too.
yeah, so this is the last season in which I can redshirt him, right? So redshirt him this year, get that recruiting penalty because he's a 4-star. Um, um, and the reason why I would redshirt him is because I'm graduating a lot of guys this year. And so if I do promote, then I'm going to need some talent to try and carry me to survive in D1, right?
Mhm.
So the scenario here is like, let's say I promote, right? And then I'm going to need 2 years of Cole Brown, right? I get 2 years of Cole Brown instead of just 1 year next year trying to survive, where hopefully I can survive in D1. But then because my team is a little bit thin this year, if I redshirt him, then my depth is really poor, right? Because right now I'm starting him, but he could also be a do everything off the bench kind of guy, like he's been his first 2 years, right?
Mhm.
So it's redshirt him, take the risk with depth and take the recruiting penalty, or play him, get the most out of him this season, contend to win the conference, but then lose that extra year and maybe struggle, down the line in D1.
Yeah, I mean, so obviously context is dependent here, and a lot of people may not know a lot about Santa Clara. Like obviously you know it well, I know it well. But so you could, anyone who's now looking at this, you can see that the top 4 are all perimeter heights and they play on the perimeter. So one of these guys likely comes off the bench. In the past 2 seasons, that has been Cole Brown for the most part.
Yes.
I think that's starting to potentially change this season, depend whether that's like a lineup change or just Cole Brown taking over for whoever. We'll see how that really shakes out later on. Depending on this question, I guess too, depending on the answer.
Yeah.
But I think the question is, okay, let's assume Santa Clara promotes, right? Then either way, Cole Brown is playing next year. Either way, he's leading your team, no matter what, whether he redshirts this year or not.
Right.
I think the question is the year after that. Do you project you will still be in D1, or will you have been knocked down to D2 again?
So
yeah,
that's a really tough thing to project, of course.
Sure, yeah, absolutely. So obviously we're losing 3 of the top 4 here. There's still Lipkus, Edward is out, D'Alessandro is still there, Dean is out, and then you've got these 2 sophomores who kind of aren't real pieces. They might be depth in a couple of years. And then you got a freshman, and I know your recruiting is like looking pretty nice right now, right?
Yeah. Impact players that I'm likely to land.
Yeah, so like next year would probably be the like questionable year depending on like what you decide to do with red shirts with those incoming players next year.
Yeah.
Right. The year after that, when Cole Brown could potentially be a redshirt senior, you may have the type of guys coming in who could like keep you up, like survive in LL4 potentially, or promote out of LL5, or what you know, who knows, right?
Yeah.
So I think I think I would go with still playing him this year to like theoretically push you more in favor of promoting, because obviously it's never a guarantee. But this is a tough one. I don't really know.
Yeah, me either. Why do you think I'm asking? And because I need to make that decision quick.
Right, yeah. And tomorrow's the 5th game, yeah.
Yeah.
The other thing is, like, you mentioned the redshirt penalty. Yes, there's a redshirt penalty for redshirting 5 and 4 stars. But in terms of like how a recruit later on will see it, I mean, he will still be a junior, a redshirt junior. And recruits that come in really only look at like the sophomores and freshmen, redshirt sophomores to true freshmen. So like they won't really look at Cole Brown. They will take into account the redshirt penalty, but it won't be like he was not a redshirt freshman, so it's not like the redshirt penalty plus being a freshman, you know?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't have an answer for you, but I hopefully have said some things that may tip it in one favor in your head.
So what's also weighing on me is the fact that like if I do redshirt Cole Brown, then I obviously don't slap the redshirt title on him until the end of the year. I don't know if it matters in season, like penalty wise, or if it's like until a flip, but I obviously just sit him and don't play him and then like slap the redshirt title on him at the very end of the season after I've landed this whole class. And another thought is,
matter.
Okay, that doesn't matter. Okay. And let's say that like, you know, sure, I get a redshirt penalty, and maybe even though the fact that he's going to be a redshirt junior, it's still a penalty because he's a 4-star, but I'm going to get a boost from the flip if I do promote. Right.
Yeah.
And then I have D1 prowess recruiting next season. And if things fall the way that I want to this season, then I'm going to have impact players starting next season that I couldn't afford to redshirt. So it's like, it's a tricky scenario for sure.
Yeah. I don't know, just promote and it's good either way.
I mean, yeah, for sure. Like promoting is better than any other scenario for sure. But it goes back to do you want to promote to demote? You know, and I don't know if my team is even good enough next year to survive. It depends on what that conference looks like and stuff, and if I land certain recruits or not. But like, I don't know. It feels, it's always nice to have, and he's a 160 SI already. So like, if I redshirt him this year, let's say he gets up to like, I don't know, a modest season of like 168. And maybe he caps out because he has 12 potential, but he can get into like the 170s. So then next season, let's say he's like into the 170s, and then the season after that, maybe he gets to like high 170s or something. That's an impact enough player at his position that he could like carry a team to not get demoted, or like make a significant enough contribution that like it helps to not get demoted.
Yeah, you know, that's something I don't really have a lot of experience with, just like having one super lead, you know, super good lead player.
Yeah, you're not about that.
No. So like I couldn't tell you if, especially in D1, I mean, I especially don't know there. Yeah, I couldn't tell you if that is enough to survive. I'm sure, you know, we could figure it out, but tough to say. I don't know. That's a tough question. Good luck.
Yeah, it is a tough question. I agree. One that you don't have to answer, good sir.
Yeah. Well, in some ways I do, just not that specific.
Yeah.
All right. My last question, at least with Hardwood related, is it's no secret we have multiple teams, right?
Yeah.
But, you know, we've talked about a lot of different things, both privately and here. basically, would you rather have multiple competitive teams or multiple project? I don't know why I said it that way.
Project.
Projects of teams, like complete, just like barren teams.
Okay, so for me, it's really easy. I always want the projects.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
I mean, the multiple teams I took, they were all well. Oswego wasn't necessarily a project at the time, but it's still LL6. But Santa Clara was like
Mhm.
bottom of the barrel project LL6, like bad.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and I took them for that reason. Same with Kingsville. They were like one of the worst TPI teams in the game when I took them. Um, so I'm
Mhm.
always going for the projects.
Yeah. And sorry, and with this question, it's not, there's no like middle ground. There's no like one of each. Okay. So, but it sounds like you already knew your answer.
All projects because I
Um,
want to build them up.
I honestly like either one is stressful.
Yeah.
I've talked about like the stress added, whether it's being competitive, but like building projects, teams is like also stressful. It can be fun in a lot of ways because like you're more easily gonna land recruits. They may not be good recruits, but like you can get recruits.
Yeah.
And you can build your team in your way. Not to say that you can't with competitive teams. Presumably the competitive team, like you've had it for a while and that is in your identity or whatever.
Yeah.
What would I pick? I think I would also pick two, multiple project teams. Yeah, I don't know. It's just there's a whole different stress to being competitive, I think. So
I mean, obviously, when we say we take project teams, it's the hope that we make them competitive with time.
of course, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But this isn't a vacuum. It's right now, like answer now. I'm taking the
Yeah.
projects.
Yeah. Okay. So that was pretty easy. That was a nice finisher. I just a lot of these questions were really good, especially for this time of the season. Right. Redshirting decisions are like literally right now. Recruiting, you gotta right now you gotta decide, who are you gonna really invest in. I think that was super good. Obviously, yeah, promotion versus tourney success versus strong conferences, weak conferences. This was really good.
What's
Yeah.
your bonus question?
All right. I kind of got two, to be honest.
Oh gosh.
So
Okay.
I'll start with the basketball one, the basketball related one. Would you rather play against like a super sweaty guy? He's like immediately sweaty, like just the type,
Yeah.
right? Like ugh, or a really smelly guy.
Okay. So the sweaty guy is not smelly inherently.
Correct. Yes. Yeah.
Oh God.
Or
Oh God.
it's not like unbearable. I'm sure like it's like
Yeah.
normal.
It's
but,
like normal.
yeah.
I'm probably going the smelly guy, to be honest. I'm probably going the smelly guy because so as a basketball player, the two things I love are passing and defense. Like those are the two things that I like. I want to be a pass first point guard who's like a really good defender. So like I'm gonna get aggressive on the other team's best like wing player that I can guard. If he's like really sweaty and it's just like all over me and it's like jousting my I've had those scenarios. Like one guy jumped and like put his
Oh
shoulder against
God.
me
Yeah,
and it
yeah,
was
yeah.
just sweat
Yeah.
like the whole way.
It's the
I
worst.
almost want
Yeah.
to puke. It's disgusting.
It's
Versus
so
like if a
oh
guy's
yeah.
smelly, like I can fight through that.
Yeah.
I think I can
Yeah,
fight
no,
through that.
I know that feeling. Like, I mean, I'm pretty tall. I'm pretty skinny, but like I'm tall enough to play inside.
Yeah.
Like not in any really competitive game, but like
Sean
pick up
Marion.
like I like to think of myself as Tayshaun Prince. um, but like I've played inside. I play on the perimeter sometimes too. But like yeah, in the post, especially when you're guarding that really sweaty guy. Oh my God.
Yeah.
It's so, oh God. And like, yeah, you talk about the shoulder hitting you, that sweaty shoulder, like under the armpit type, like that side. Ugh.
Oh, it's almost like guarding a wet fish or something.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, yeah, like in actual basketball terms, the sweaty guy like has an advantage because like you don't want to touch him, or honestly, like they're slippery. So
You armbar a little bit, you're like,
yeah. The smelly guy, like it's not enjoyable, but like he doesn't gain any competitive advantage other than like you don't want to be around him, I guess.
But you can fight through. I mean, even if it's absolutely unbearable, you can still fight through it. Yeah.
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 All right. Yeah, so I think I'd go with the smelly guy, but like just this thought was gut wrenching.
It's quite the perplexing question. Yes.
All right.
What's your second
Now for a
place?
really gut wrenching.
Oh, more gut
It's
wrenching
not
than that
really
one.
quite how it's not really like a it's not really like a would you rather. It's more like how much money would it take for you to wear a puppet, like a mini version of yourself on your hand?
Like in
And you can't
public?
explain it for a whole year in public. You have to wear it at all times. At all times, you can't explain it to anyone, like why you're doing it. You cannot remove it at all. Like not to shower, you have to like bag it. If
Can't
you're on a
explain to
date
anyone.
wearing that puppet, you cannot
Oh,
explain. If someone asks you why you rent, yeah, you can't say because I'm making X amount of money from it. Like someone's gonna pay me
okay.
after
It
a year.
for me, it has to be a really significant amount because I'm a freaking scientist and I can't afford to have one hand in the lab. Like, how do you do lab work with one
Yeah,
hand?
that too. Yeah,
That's like my first
yeah.
thought right
You
away.
gotta take into account jobs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. But that's a like I have to make like sweet, passionate love with what with a puppet on my hand of myself. Like, is he gonna be staring at me and I'm gonna be like fist bumping him? Like what? What?
Well, that's up to
Um,
you. You control the puppet still. You can
oh
still control the
God.
puppet.
What's my amount? These are always weird questions because dollar amounts are so like relative. A whole year.
Yeah,
It's like,
I know.
I'm probably going like 100 grand. I need enough to pay off like student loans and then have some.
Yeah, I think that like uh taking into account like how much like it has to basically replace your job because you can't do your job pretty much.
Yeah.
I mean, some people probably could still, but like
Even
it's a lot
if you
harder.
work an office job, how do
Um,
you're like smacking the keyboard?
yeah, I mean, it has to be like I think someone when I heard this question like on a Twitch stream yesterday, and the person was like, I have to do like speak to text like type of typing basically.
Oh,
They're an office job. Yeah.
oh.
Um, yeah, so it's got to be in the hundreds of thousands at least. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I think we're in agreement there because it's a whole year. If you said like a month or something, then I can go pretty cheap and deal with it. But a whole year, that's a long freaking time. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think,
Yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, those are my fun questions.
I 100% did not expect any of those. So you, yeah, that was good. That was good. I didn't expect any of
Cool.
those. My God, the smelly or stinky. All right. Well, we hope you guys enjoyed this podcast. It was a little bit different from anything we've ever done, so it was quite fun for us. Leave us in the comments. Leave us comments answering the questions, like that we asked throughout in terms of like recruiting the big man.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah, like we want to see your comments. We want to see what the guys, what everybody thinks. So leave us your comments. And
Sweaty
look
or
out.
smelly.
Yeah, sweaty or smelly. Who do you want to recruit? God, sweaty or smelly. What's your dollar amount to wear a puppet on your hand? Yeah, so leave us some comments and
It's a miniature version of yourself. Remember.
yeah, I mean, I don't know if I would mind that too much. That's cool. It's better than like a miniature version of someone else. That's even more awkward. Like imagine it's a woman and then you're like dating your girlfriend and you're like, huh? Yeah, no, that's just weird. That's just
Okay,
weird.
fair. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I keep interrupting. You were trying to do the outro.
No, it's fine. It's fine. I was just gonna say, yeah, like look forward to some like, upcoming podcasts and like we said, answer some questions. I don't know if you have any parting words for the viewers.
Yeah, like you said, it was a different format today, but I'm sure we'll get into like more team specific type of stuff like we did last season. As the season goes on, we just wanted to mix it up. We still reviewed some teams, so we'll get there.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, I'm excited for season 2.
Wow, season 2 of our podcast already.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
wild. All right. The Total Podcast Idiots are signing out. We'll talk to you guys next time. Peace.